Growing up in rural Wisconsin, I always hated being home alone. My parents trusted me to handle myself, but there was something about that house. Too old, too quiet, too full of spaces where things could hide. It sat on the edge of a dense forest, our only neighbors miles away. That night, a storm brewed in the distance, the wind howling through the cracks in the wooden siding. I was curled up on the couch, flicking through static-filled TV channels when I heard it. A soft scrape against the back door. My stomach clenched. It wasn't an animal, too deliberate, too slow. I muted the TV and listened. Nothing. Maybe the wind, maybe my imagination. Then another sound, a faint tap, like fingertips against glass. My pulse pounded in my ears. The back door had a small window. If someone was there, they'd see me long before I saw them. I moved cautiously, keeping to the shadows. I reached for the light switch but stopped. If someone was outside, I didn't want to alert them. Instead, I crept toward the kitchen, grabbing the largest knife from the block. Just as I stepped past the hallway, a deep creak came from upstairs. My breath hitched. My parents' bedroom. They weren't home. I stood frozen, my fingers tightening around the knife. The house was old, sure, but that was no settling noise. That was a footstep. The logical part of my brain screamed to leave, but instead, I crept toward the staircase. Every board beneath my feet whined in protest. I forced myself to look up. The hallway light was on. I never left it on. Something shifted in the dim glow, a shadow moving just beyond the door frame. My blood ran cold. The door creaked open wider. I held my breath. Then silence. The kind that made my skin crawl, thick and unnatural. A soft shuffling noise. Something stepping closer. My feet refused to move. A shadow stretched along the floorboards, reaching toward me. Then the light flickered and died. Darkness swallowed the hall. My heart pounded as I turned and bolted down the stairs. The knife slipped from my grip, clattering against the floor, but I didn't stop. I ran to the front door, fumbling with the lock, yanking it open just as a thud came from behind me, heavy, wet. I spun around, gasping for breath. The hallway was empty. I blinked, my mind racing. I knew what I heard. I wasn't alone. Then, a quiet scraping noise from above. My eyes drifted up to the ceiling. A dark, wet stain spread across the plaster, something thick and sluggish dripping down. My stomach twisted. It smelled like rust. Something moved in the attic. A shifting, scratching sound. A whisper of breath, too long, too slow. My vision blurred with panic as I staggered back toward the door. A guttural noise, a horrible gurgle of something trying to speak, rasped from the vent above me. Then the attic door in the hallway burst open. A mass of something dropped down, landing with a sickening crunch. I stumbled backward, my knees giving out as I crashed to the floor. My breath hitched in my throat as I stared at the thing before me. A figure, bent at impossible angles. Skin stretched too tight, as if pulled over mismatched bones. Its head lolled to the side, mouth gaping, filled with too many teeth. Empty sockets where eyes should be. And the smell, rotting, like something long dead. It took a step forward, joints popping. I scrambled back, kicking at the floor, trying to put distance between us. My hands found the knife, and I swung wildly. The blade barely grazed its skin. It didn't bleed. It didn't flinch. It smiled. A sound like tearing fabric filled my ears as it lunged. I rolled away just in time, crashing into the coffee table, knocking over a lamp. The room flickered with light for just a second before plunging back into darkness. I heard it move, closer now, dragging itself toward me. I forced myself up, running for the back door. My fingers fumbled at the handle. Locked. Then a voice, too close. It whispered my name. I turned. The thing stood inches away, grinning, its mouth stretching unnaturally wide. The last thing I saw before I screamed was its hand reaching for my face. Everything went black. I woke up to daylight streaming through the windows. My head pounded. My body ached. I was lying in the living room, curled up on the floor like I had fallen asleep. The house was silent. No sign of anything unusual. For a moment, I thought I had dreamed it all. Maybe I'd fallen asleep watching TV. Maybe my mind played tricks on me. Then I saw the attic door, wide open, and a single wet footprint leading from the hallway to where I had been sleeping. The police didn't believe me. No signs of forced entry. No blood. Nothing. Except for the message scratched into the floorboards beside where I had slept. Next time, don't wake up.